Coming up on Locked On Bearcats. So, just when is Cincinnati moving to the Big 12? It may be later than you wanted to, but it's coming soon. Plus, more reaction from Conference Champ Week. I got a thought from the conference tournament from a John Rothstein tweet. It was quite funny, one of the comments. I'll touch on all of that here on Locked On Bearcats.
You are Locked On Bearcats, your daily podcast on the Cincinnati Bearcats, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you so much for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen of every day. Today's episode of Locked On Bearcats is brought to you by Stat Hero. It's reshaping the way you play fantasy sports. Dozens of house-based games to play daily. No sharks, no funky props, just your skill versus the lineups you choose. Sign up today at stathero.com/lockedon. My name is Alex Frank, welcoming you to today's episode of Locked On Bearcats. It's Tuesday, March 15th of 2022. The NCAA tournament begins tonight. First four games in Dayton, and so you can choose many options to play in Stat Hero. Players that played tonight, teams, whatever you choose. So the Cincinnati Bearcats, of course, are going to the Big 12 at some point. The Cincinnati Bearcats have been admitted for expansion along with Houston, UCF, and BYU. When they go remains to be determined. I've been told by many people, Dan Horde included, 2023. But then this article came out from Keith Jenkins of the Cincinnati Enquirer following the Bearcats' loss to Houston in the AAC Tournament last week. And it was a discussion that was had between University of Cincinnati Director of Athletics John Cunningham and American Athletic Conference Commissioner Mike Aresco. And Mike Aresco has done a lot of good things for this conference. He's almost like a spokesperson, campaign man for this conference, being a Power 6 conference. I'm all in on that. Mike Aresco had this to say about the discussion and reaching a settlement on Cincinnati leaving the American Athletic Conference earlier than the scheduled departure date of July 1st of 2024. You have to give a conference 27 months notice that you're going to leave, which the Bearcats were admitted into the Big 12 in the September of 2021. So they have more than enough time to do so. But they can negotiate an increased exit fee if they choose to leave earlier. Mike Aresco had this to say about it. And quote, if we don't get there, reach a settlement, then we will just say, fine, we'll stop the negotiations, and you can just say stay until July 1st, 2024, which they've said they would do if we ultimately can't reach an agreement. I'm hoping we can, if in fact they want to leave before July 1st, 2024, and it does appear that they do. They referring to Cincinnati. It appears that the Big 12 will be willing to take them in 2023-24, but the Big 12 has made the point that they're not taking them unless they have a right to go, unquote. And you read that, and you get a little discouraged if you're me. Now, I don't know how that makes you feel. I don't know if you've read that article. If you have, how does it make you feel? Because it makes me feel, less excited than I was. I don't want to stay in the American Athletic Conference for 2 more years if I'm a Bearcats fan. I don't. The American Athletic Conference has diminish the Bearcats brand, so to speak. I know Bearcats basketball wasn't very good this year. You know that too. But I think the reason why they weren't very good can some degree be attributed to the fact that they play in a mid-major conference. If they had finished 8th in the Big 12 this year, they would have had a better chance of going to the NCAA tournament. That is because you get the benefit of the doubt in a Power 5 conference. So why stay in conference purgatory for more years than you have to? Why not make next year your last year? I think there is a way to do it, which would mean you would leave the conference at the end of the 2023 season. Now, 27 months. Let's say you start in the 2023-24 season. 27 months would be in 2024. So you better get this done fairly soon if you are going to negotiate an increased exit fee. Time is dwindling on this. And Mike Aresco says that that's going to be done fairly soon, which he did. If he's saying that, it's going to be done fairly soon because 27 months, the time frame is shrinking. It is shrinking, not just gradually, but it's shrinking at a pretty constant rate, if not bigger than that. So this settlement needs to be done very soon. More takeaways from this story from Keith Jenkins of the Inquirer, a good friend of mine. Developed a nice rapport and relationship with him his first year on the beat in 2020, 2021. And that Mike Oresco said that there is urgency to their discussions. John Cunningham did say, though, that as Keith Jenkins points out, that when the Bearcats were admitted to the conference, the Big 12 in September of last year, that Cincinnati's move would have to wait. BYU likely have to wait. BYU is going to join in 2023. John Cunningham said, and quote, "We're contractually obligated to the American Athletic Conference. We would not start in the Big 12 no earlier than July 1st, 2024. Now, I say that if conversations and arrangements are made, that would be different than that. Then those are going to take place between the American Athletic Conference schools that we are leaving, that are leaving, and the conference office. We'll follow our contractual obligations with the conference," end quote. Mike Oresco went on to add that the AAC already has a schedule in place for next year that includes the current 11 members in the conference. And he said it's, end quote, "most likely," end quote, "that the next year, 23 through 24, will include those same 11 schools again." Bearcats have done well in this conference, as Keith Jenkins points out. So there is some good that can come out of this. And if Bearcats basketball can get better, maybe it will matter to you that they're still in the American Athletic Conference. But to me right now, it does. And it's because of what I saw this week in the conference tournaments, not just from on the court, but from a tweet that John Rothstein, CBS Sports College Basketball Insider, put out, that I agree with because I saw it before he did. I will touch on what that is next here on Locked On Bearcats. But first, I need to tell you about Stat Hero. 7:06 is the timestamp of the live read today. So anyone take any team, and now your bracket's busted. Yeah, mine's not looking too good, but I still got some cash for my Stat Hero pick'em. If you haven't checked out this new platform, you're really missing out, because Stat Hero's NCAA single game pick'ems pits the star players against each other in an amazing hybrid between fantasy and sports gambling, so you can take control back from those handicappers that always seem to have the advantage and start focusing on the players you know best with a gameplay that doesn't rely on big spreads, long odds, or funky props. Stat Hero gives you the advantage, resulting in their gamers winning 4 times more often. Why? Because Stat Hero eliminates the mystery about who or what you are going up against. In addition to their pick'em games, they also have dozens of lineups you can comb through to take on head-to-head. They simply post sets of players for you to take on with the set of players you choose. It's the easiest and fastest way to get your sports action fixed. The simple, sleek gameplay will have you playing in minutes. This is what daily fantasy was meant to be. So you can look at the games tonight in the first 4. You can look at tomorrow. You can choose any lineup from that, and you can say why you did. Sign up for free at stathero.com/lockedon and use promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% deposit match. That's stathero.com/lockedon, promo code LOCKEDON for a 100% match. stathero.com/lockedon, promo code LOCKEDON. Terms and conditions do apply. Thanks again for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen of every day. Make sure to check out Locked On Bracket Breakdown right here on the Locked On Bearcats podcast feed and YouTube channel. College basketball experts Chris Gordy, Andy Patton, and betting expert Lee Sterling give you in-depth breakdowns on every matchup. First round of the tournament just 2 days away. It is St. Patrick's Day. I cannot wait for the first round games. They're going to be electric. This whole week is going to be electric. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are too. So John Rothstein, who is CBS Sports College Basketball Insider, one of my favorite Twitter followers. He might be one of yours too. Definitely has, definitely loves college basketball. He is, a great ambassador for the sport. He's a great voice for the sport. He's a great voice for the smaller schools and conferences. Of course, he has sayings for certain programs and head coaches. He'll say, you should buy stock now within a player. You should have bought it 2 weeks ago. Or in the case of Sister Jean back in 1963, Final Four. I know they beat Cincinnati, but that was still kind of funny to see. So John Rothstein put this on Twitter on Friday. And this was after the Bearcats game in the AAC tournament. So, if I can find it, John Rothstein put out that the attendance, here it is. This was tweeted at 5:48 on Friday of last week. The lack of attendance at the AAC tournament is incredible. Reminds me of Bob Uecker's first scene in Major League. Yup, they love this club here in Cleveland. And if you watch the early games of the American Athletic Conference, the attendance was awful. It sucked. I'm watching the Bearcats in Houston game. Not a lot of fans from Houston show up. Not a lot of Bearcats fans were. The Bearcats fans were there too, or were there, as opposed to Houston. But it was just unbelievable. They build this new arena in Fort Worth, Texas, for this tournament, and they can't get fans to come to the games. And I'm combing through the comments on Twitter, which you can get a lot of content material for the show from comments on Twitter and touch on. Do you agree with this? Do you disagree with it? Whatever. I disagree with some of the comments that were said. There was one comment that said 1 p.m. game on a Friday for teams not going to the NCAA tournament. You're shocked, crying face or laugh crying face emoji. There was another comment that said the AAC is the absolute worst idea in college basketball. Key aspect of meaningful rivalries is geography. Temple Tulane ain't the same as Temple LaSalle, Temple St. Joe's. That's right. I agree with that. There was one comment, just going to say, it's also tough to fill seats at noon on a workday for most people. Not true. Look at the Big 12, look at the ACC, look at the Big 10. Look at Power 5 conferences around the country. Their attendance at tournament games this weekend or last weekend was incredible. I watched like 5 Power 5 conference tournament games on Saturday. First up was Indiana, Iowa. Whole lower bowl was filled. I watched Kentucky and Tennessee. Whole arena, Amalie Arena in Tampa was filled. I watched I watched the Big 12 championship, which I've touched on every single game for that tournament is filled. And as it was for the Big 12 championship on Saturday. I'm watching Virginia Tech and Duke in the ACC championship. That whole arena is filled. I'm watching UCLA and Arizona in the Pac-12 championship. That arena was filled. There were some empty seats in the upper deck, but then again, it's a conference tournament. And you don't know if that many fans can travel from Los Angeles and Tucson, respectively, to Vegas. But still, very, very good crowds. Exceptional crowds. You know why that is? Because the American Athletic Conference was slapped together from teams from the Big East, slapped together from teams from Conference USA, which Conference USA is still a good conference, but damn it, the teams that are in those conferences, they are mid-major programs at the core. Cincinnati is a major program. Houston is a major program. UCF can claim that it's a major program. Hence, they're going to the Big 12. Heck, Memphis can claim they're a major program. They should go to the Big 12 as well. And they're playing in front of these crowds? No, they don't deserve it. They do not deserve to play in front of these small crowds. It's embarrassing. It is embarrassing. You get this beautiful new arena, Dickies Arena. It looks really nice. The seats look nice. The floor looks nice. Whatever. And you're going to get 200 fans? Hell, there was a comment that someone heard another person burp. That's kind of funny. But it's embarrassing that you're tweeting about that at a conference tournament. What are we doing? You might as well go campus sites if you're going to do this. You might as well, like ECU played Cincinnati. You might as well have had it at Fifth Third Arena. Fifth Third Arena is the best arena in the conference. It trumps every other arena in this conference. FedEx Forum's nice, I'll give him that. Houston's got a nice new arena. But ECU, Tulane, USF, Tulsa, Temple, SMU, Moody Coliseum's nice, but these arenas just aren't cutting it. You deserve better than this. UC deserves better than this. And that's why I cannot wait for them to join the Big 12. More on that next here on Locked On Bearcats. But first, I got to tell you about Run Your Pool at the 14:51 mark timestamp. So March Madness is tonight. It begins tonight. That means you need to start thinking now about where you're going to be running your brackets this year, because the first round of the tournament starts Thursday. Are you going for the usual, or are you looking for the best? Because we've done our homework here, and we're running brackets with runyourpool.com. Along with standard brackets, Run Your Pool offers game types like Survivor or Pick X. They have options to edit scoring, and they offer more intel to make your picks, all stuff you won't find at ESPN or CBS. And both Survivor and Pick X are really fun in their own way. If you've got a business, Run Your Pool can help you take some of that madness magic and play alongside your employees or even gain customers. Plus, they offer full white glove customer support, custom branding, and one of the easiest 3-minute setups you'll ever find. Clearly, we believe in Run Your Pool because, like I said, we're running our brackets there ourselves. There's no truer test than that. If you want to play against us for a shot at a cash prize up to $1,800, join us at runyourpool.com/lockedon. And while you're there, create your own pool for your friends and family. Enter code PureMadness at checkout for $10 off your custom pool. All the rules and details will be available there. That's runyourpool.com/lockedon for your chance to win a cash prize up to $1,800. We look forward to seeing and beating you there. All right, so now we told you where to run your pool and your March Madness brackets this year, but what are you going to do when it comes to making your wagers, your bets? Well, it's that time of year as college basketball's tournament is finally upon us, and from all the latest odds, contests, and player props, betonline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season, and it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sporting wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action. BetOnline, where the game starts. Once again, thank you for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Alex Frank here with you on this Tuesday, March 15th of 2022. As the NCAA tournament gets underway tonight, the first 4 in Dayton, Ohio, just up the road from my hometown up in Cincinnati, where I was from. Locked On Bearcats, of course, being the Cincinnati Bearcats podcast, right in our backyard, the first 4. So I was touching on conference tournaments and seeing how much fun the Power 5 conference tournaments are, how many fans show up, how many students show up, the exposure that those games get on ESPN and Fox. I mean, I'm watching the Big East tournament, which is not a Power 5 conference by definition, and yet the whole entire arena at Madison Square Garden was full. I mean, they're putting UC on a poster, this conference on a poster. They're putting, I mean, the Mountain West had a great attendance at its conference tournament in Vegas this week. The geography of the American Athletic Conference is not very good. I mean, no team is close to one another. Right now, UCF and USF are. Sure, the Texas teams are, but other than that, which other teams are close to each other? They're not that close. Look at the Mountain West. You've got teams in California, teams in Colorado, Utah. You got in the Big 12, you got Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas. And in the ACC, you've got Carolina and Georgia and Florida and Virginia and Kentucky, Indiana, Louisville, Notre Dame. I mean, the Pac-12 is, it's all on the West Coast from Colorado all the way to California and up to Washington. So it's just the American Athletic Conference. There's no identity to it. There's just not a lot of excitement to it. It's just there. I mean, the conference has only been around since 2013. It just formed 7 years ago. Or 9 years ago, whatever it did. It just formed 9 years ago. It formed out of the ashes. It wasn't great to begin with, and it's not great now. Yes, Cincinnati made the college football playoff. But as, again, I told you, it was because Cincinnati has punched above its weight class. They played above the American Athletic Conference benchmarks and standards. And I'm going to throw in one more thing before I close. A little shorter show today. Get rid of the battle for the victory bell. And I'll touch on that more this week. What is Cincinnati doing playing in that rivalry? This is a major university with enrollment that is increasing every year, with an athletic program that is making significant strides in a lot of different sports. Get rid of the Miami rivalry. Miami is not on Cincinnati's same playing field anymore. It maybe was for a time. It's not now. Just get rid of it. That's going to do it for me here on Locked On Bearcats today. Thank you for making it your first listen every day. Now make your second listen Locked On NFL Draft. Ryan Tracy and former NFL cornerback Eric Crocker bring the NFL Draft to life every day with insight and analysis on college football prospects and NFL front offices. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow me on Twitter at Frankie_90 with 2 N's and an ATI. You can follow me on Instagram, AlexFrank9_, and email me at alex3frank@gmail.com. Way more to get to this week. Locked On Bracket Breakdown, previewing the NCAA Tournament. First-round matchups begin Thursday. More from spring practice on the football front. More from the fallout of the end of basketball season. And when Cincinnati's going to the Big 12. So much to get to this week. Thank you for making Locked On Bearcats your first listen every day. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. I'm Alex Frank for Locked On Bearcats, and I will talk to you all tomorrow on Wednesday.